Everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday interview with Mortgage Coach. I want to remind you, you're looking at your screen right now, that these calls are recorded and put into our YouTube channel literally within hours. So check out our Tuesday interview calls. We have a special playlist for that. The one that is getting the most views right now is this one on how to create a total cost analysis in 5 minutes or less. But again, every one of these calls is just amazing. Also want to remind you that every day of the week I am interviewing amazing loan officers, amazing professionals. I put them in this unedited playlist. So literally record it, throw it into the unedited playlist. And then some of them where there's great scripts, we put them in our scripts playlist. Some of them make it to the all-time greatest. And we put them in playlists that kind of match the content. Want to remind everybody that we have, I think, over 80 how-to, pretty much everything in the Mortgage Coach community, how to do it, how to get started with Mortgage Coach. Every Friday, we're talking about how to close more loans in less time. So check that out. And then reminder to everybody, we have a playlist for new loan officers. So today, I've got a special guest, someone that I've wanted to bring into the Mortgage Coach community for a long time. Carl and I started talking. I mean, it's been years, Carl, since we first started having conversations. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Gosh, it has. I remember we met some years ago. I think I was out in California, and we happened to be at the same hotel for. I think you were at one thing, and I was at another. And yeah, man, I've been a huge fan of yours forever. Not that you've been around forever. You know, as young as you are, but.
I mean, look at the color of that beard, man. It's great. I've been around for a long time. You know, it's funny you just said that, Carl, because when we were having a prep call yesterday and you were showing me some slides of people, you know, working on their processes on pieces of paper, I started thinking about, God, how much of this business we used to do on paper. I actually want to go out because when I started the business, my CRM looked like a recipe book. By the way, recipe thing, it had 1 through 30, and then my database was this big, long thing with index cards alphabetically, and I would just go and like, okay, I'm going to call my S's, pull out index cards. Oh, I got to call that guy on the 20th. Let me put him in my 20th box. Things have changed, right, my man?
Things change. And, you know, I just realized with the camera on, I want to explain something off. You might see in the background, I got a picture of Barbara Eden on my wall, I Dream of Jeannie, and I just realized it was still up. So I got an autographed picture from her. I met her a couple years back, and I'm a huge fan, so I just thought that looks a little weird on the back wall. So it's not Miss June or Miss July. I wouldn't want to be disrespectful. It's Barbara Eden, and who wouldn't put a picture of Barbara Eden up on their wall? What can I say? Yeah, no,
I Dream of Jeannie. That dates me a little bit, but yeah. I've watched every episode.
Now, Marcy's sitting there going, who's that? Right.
Exactly. So everybody, we want to have a great conversation. I think Carl is well known for being a mentor and a leader in our industry to generate leads. I mean, I think everybody they think Carl White, they're like the lead machine, you know. But Carl has built a coaching practice that's pretty special. And when him and I were talking about, hey, what can we talk about? We can talk about, hey, how to double your business and triple your leads. And by the way, that's what I wanted to interview Carl on. And he's like, well, wait a minute, Dave. You know, most people, if they doubled their business, they wouldn't double their business because they're overwhelmed, putting out fires, you know, their business is going up and down. He's like, so let's just have a conversation, like bring me into the community and let me have a conversation similar to the type that I have with new clients on how to create more capacity so that, hey, well, if we do start doubling and tripling leads, we can digest it and we can actually double our business. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to, become a student. I'm going to actually jump off screen. I'm going to give Carl the screen. Carl and I do want to make this interactive. So if you do have questions for Carl, ask them during the call. We made time for this to be an interactive conversation. So I'll be looking for any questions that you post. Also, I have one more ask for everybody. I put up a Facebook post in our Facebook private group say, hey, I'm going to interview Carl. And if you do get a great quote, like you write something down like I want to remember that, or there's a takeaway, like your top 2 takeaways, share those in that in comments in that post so we can get as much value out of Carl as we can. So with that said, Carl, I'm going to hand it off to you, and I'm going to start taking notes and getting ready to ask you some questions.
All right, Dave, and we can kind of do this in an interactive thing. So first of all, are you seeing the right screen? Are you seeing the main screen here?
We are. And by the way, Carl, one last thought. Well, I think everybody knows you. There might be someone that doesn't know you on the call. So do just give a little bit of color, since this is the first time in a long time I brought you into the community.
All right. So my name's Carl White. I'm actually here in I call it my secret headquarters for the Mortgage Marketing Animals. I became a loan officer, I think, in 1999. I started a group, I think, around 2004 called the Mortgage Marketing Animals. Our coaching group, I think most people know, is called the Freedom Club, because for me, loan officers, it's not just about closing more loans, it's about having freedom. So not just financial freedom, but time freedom and relationship freedom too. And man, it's been a good run of it. And I'm currently a branch manager. I've got loan officers in many states and in my branch, and man, it's just been a good run. So the thing, when people first started contacting me, Dave, because how I started the Mortgage Marketing Animals is I have a very successful loan officer practice. So as a single loan officer, this is not with as a branch manager per se. It was my own production. I think my best month ever before I became a branch manager, I think it was either 72 or 74 loans for the month. And I probably averaged, that was a good month, complete disclosure, I probably averaged 40 to 50 or so loans per month was kind of my typical. So people started reaching out to me saying, hey man, how are you doing it? And I found very quickly that when I started to help people, that closing more loans actually caused them a problem. And the problem that it caused, and let me get my PowerPoint here. The problem that it caused is they were saying, hey, Carl, I want to close more loans, but truth be known, they didn't say this, but I knew it. They're already working 40, 70 hours a week, right? And if we could, I already know the answer to this was to get everybody to raise their hand. If you're sitting there watching this today and you're working 40 plus hours a week, like my guess is 98% of the room would be standing up. And when we say how many are closing 50 or how many are 50 hours or more, again, usually it's about 70% of the room when I go around the country doing doing talks about this stuff. It amazes me on how many people are still standing literally when we talk about 70 hours per week. And I always think, well, if you're already working 40 hours per week and you say you want to double your business, right, which we all say that, the problem is we would go, all right, if I do twice as much as what I'm already doing, I would have twice as many fires, twice as many calls, twice as many meetings, twice as many headaches, twice as many problems, twice as many hours, right? So if you just,
Carl,
yeah.
Hey, real quick, I would love for anybody and everybody that's engaged, which hopefully is everybody on this call, to let us know in questions, how many hours a week are you working? What is the average number of hours that you're working? And just put it in like, I'm working 40 hours and closing 6 loans a month, So let us know how many hours and how many loans on average you're closing. Hours per week, loans per month. Would love to see that. And for those of you that are like saying, oh, I'm having a hard time figuring it out, eyeball it. I mean, we're not auditing you. We're not going to test you on this. We're not going to talk you anywhere.
We're not going to call you out,
Yeah, we're not going to call you out. By the way, I am getting lots of responses in the average response is 40 hours, 3 loans, 60 hours, 7 loans, 45 hours, 10 loans, 30 to 50 hours per week, 3 to 5 loans, So, I mean, it's all over the board. Then again, we have some whale producers that are closing over 20 loans a month. Here's 45 hours, 12 loans. So first of all, guys, here we go, 80 hours 40 units a year. So we're all over the place. And by the way, we're not here to say what's right, what's wrong. We're just here to have a conversation that helps you achieve whatever your goals are. So back at you, Carl. I just wanted to get some color from the audience.
And I appreciate you doing that. So, and I appreciate everybody's honesty on putting in the time. So the issue is, if you increase your business and you're doing the exact same that you're, if you just do more of what you're, I mean, that's the easiest way. If you want to increase your business, just do more of what you're doing. But the issue is, if you just do twice as much as what you're doing, you would close twice as many loans, but you'd be working twice as many hours and twice as many fires and twice as many meetings and twice as many headaches. And I mean, and that's no good, right? That's no good at all. And I get the old cop out. I used to give this one too. Yeah, but I love what I'm doing. All right, truth be known, if I could either A, be working on this loan, or B, out with my buddy Dave fishing off the coast of California, hey, let's just be honest. I'd rather go fishing. I love what I do too, but I'd rather be out fishing with Dave. So we can't use that cop out of I love what I'm doing, so I want to do more of it. Because I always ask, hey, how's that? And I don't mean to get personal and be a jerk here, but how's that working out for your wife, or how's that working out for your husband, or your kids, or your friends, or your parents, or whoever your significant other? How's it working out for them? When you're working on all these hours. And so we want. And the problem is, when they tell me they call it the reptilian brain. It's the part of our brain in the back that actually guides us on what we do. The problem with the brain will protect us, right? The brain, above all else, will protect us from getting hurt. So if the brain knows, hey, if I close more loans, I'm going to be working more hours, more headaches, more fires, the back part of our brain will actually sabotage us, decrease our business, so that we're not so stressed out and not having a good time. So a lot of people that are stuck at, like, at whatever level that you're stuck at, often it's because we're doing self-sabotage behavior that the front of our brain doesn't even recognize, but the back part of the brain is putting in place. Or when we go have those coffee meetings, or when we go meet with these referral partners, we're not like on our game because the back part of our brain says, hey man, let's kind of tone this down a little bit. We don't need more problems. And there's another issue. The other issue is the roller coaster effect, right? And I think we all know what the roller coaster effect is. We have a good month and then a slow month, and then a good month and then a slow month, and a good month and a slow month. And it's just up and down. And on the roller coaster effect, I mean, the ups are kind of cool, but the downs are really scary. I remember looking at my whiteboard one time. Shows how many loans I was doing. This is early in my career, and I just finished, I think, the month before closing 8 or 9, and I look at the next month, man, I got nothing, right? I got nothing. And the roller coaster effect just looks like this. So one way to get rid of the roller coaster effect, this is, man, if you write anything down, this will be it. The way to get rid of the roller coaster effect is to identify 2 different activities that you're doing. And what I mean by that is if we look at a roller coaster, the roller coaster effect, there's 2 types of activities we're doing. Let's call it activity A, which is the loan getting activity. And then we have activity B, which is the firefighting, right? The putting out fires, the chasing conditions, the getting the bank statements, that kind of thing. So we did one set of activity that was the loan getting activity that brought that in, right? And maybe in some of the comments you could comment, hey, this is my loan getting activity. What is your loan getting activity, right? But then something happens where we stop doing that activity, right? The loan getting activity, right? The coffee appointments, or the teaching classes, or the calling my database, right? We stop doing the things that causes the phone to ring, and then we start chasing bank statements. And this is real simple to get rid of, Dave. All we got to do is figure out what is activity A, and just don't stop doing it. What is activity B? Don't ever do it. But the problem with that is people go, wait a minute, somebody's got to chase the bank statements. That's right, somebody does. But it's not the same person that makes the phone ring to bring the loans in. I mean, Dave, that'd be like if you and I were out in the Bay Area, and we're going out to buy a new car. And so we're going to go buy two new, whatever, Mercedes. So we go into the car lot to buy the Mercedes, and we get there, and we're looking around, and, man, there's nobody on the car lot. Like, there's no salesperson out there. So we go inside the building, and we say, hey, we're here to buy 2 Mercedes. We got cash in hand. We're ready to go. And they go, well, I'm sorry, there's no salespeople on the lot right now. We had a recall, and they're all back in the service bay changing the brakes. They're all washing the cars that we sold yesterday. They're all checking the tires to make sure they have good air pressure so when the people drive out, right? We'd go, and then they say, well, here, leave your name and your phone number, and we'll call you back in about 3 hours when the salesperson's back on the car lot, and then you can come back and we'll sell you a car. And Dave, I know we'd shake our head going, what are these guys, clowns? These guys are crazy, right? I'm here to buy a car. Dude, don't you have service people in the service bay? And I'm going to tell you, Dave, this is I always say it, and I don't mean it in a weird way, this is a very perverted industry, and that what other industry is the salesperson also the fulfillment person? It's like nobody. Like nobody does that. You know, you go into a restaurant, one person orders your food, another person cooks it. You get a photocopier for your office, one person sells you the photocopier, a separate person fixes it. So why is it as a loan officer we think you need to go sell the loan, make the phone ring, get some loan getting activity, oh, and then stop and go fix the photocopier, go change the oil in the cars that you sold last week, right? Makes no sense at all. So all we got to do is just figure out what is activity A, what is activity B, do more of A, never stop it, don't do any of B. And then if you're doing nothing but A, it's like a stacking activity where you're ramping up. It's just a continuous up and up and up. And so if we just get a list of all those things that we do, which I just kind of just put one together here. You might do all of these, you might do some of these, you might do none of these, but this is just kind of a list that I came up with. And I started looking at this and I go, what's loan getting activity? What's A activity? And what's firefighting activity or B activity? So if we look, well, answer the phone. Well, on first thought, we go, well, that must be A activity. That's loan getting. It's not. Making the phone ring is where the money was made. Once the phone's ringing, the money's already been made. It's like at McDonald's, the guy making the French fry, the lady making the French fries, they're not the one that makes the money. It's the one that made them pull into the drive-thru to begin with. That's where the money's made. That's where it's at. And same in your mortgage business, it's not answering the phone. You don't make your money when you answer the phone. You make your money when you whatever activity you did to make the phone ring. Attend closings. Again, a cool thing to do, but like that's not where the money's made, right? You did an activity for that closing to happen in the first place, right? So that's actually B activity, which by the way, if we think about closings, going to closings, you know, if you're going to your closings, and maybe you could comment and we can get a feel for it, how many people do go to their closings. If you're going to your closings, you know, Dave, you go, well, man, going to closings is a good thing to do. And it is, right? There's nothing wrong with it. I went to a ton of closings. The issue is, well, wait a minute. Can I go to 5 closings a month? Well, sure, I can go to 5. Can I go to 10? It starts to get a little tougher. Can I go to 20? Well, no, you can't go to 20 closings because, you know, on the last day of the month, you're going to have 3 or 4 closings might be at the same time. So we can't go to closings when we're doing 20, not all of them. So then the question comes up, so is going to closings taking me to 20 loans a month, or is it actually keeping me from it? Is that activity, the good activity that got me to 5 loans a month, is it the same activity that's going to take me to 20? And I'm going to tell you, you already answered your question. Could you go to 20 closings in a month? You can't, right? Neither could I. And so that activity isn't helping you.
Carl?
Yeah.
So one, I would love folks to put in questions. You know, if you go to closings, how many do you go a month? And I did get a question from Bradley asking, what about the realtors that expect you to be there? And again, you could speak to that and, you know, what a realtor expects their loan officer to be at closing. Any thoughts on that?
Sure. So the real estate agent expects you to be at closing because they're not sure the money's going to be there. That's why they want you there. They want you there in case it's not done right. I want you to be here so we can put our thumbs on you and make sure it's done. So the only thing they really expect is that it close on time and the money's there. That's what they expect. Hey, look, they don't care if I'm there, if you're there. They care if the money's there. Like if I say, hey, I'm going to be there. You got one of 2 choices here. Either A, man, I'm going to be there. Or B, man, the money's going to be there. Which would you choose? So it's not about us as the loan officers. I used to think that too, so I'm not faulting you for that. I used to think that too. It's not about us. It's about the money. They just want the money. They want the money. They want it to close on time. That's what they want, right? And if we have a good team put together and we did our work, right? The money is there, and nobody cares if you're there or not. That's why they expect you to be there. So what if you should tell your real estate agent, your referral partner, hey, instead of being at closing, I'm going to be working the leads that you're sending over so we can get more of these. Because my job for you, Mr. Realtor, Mrs. Realtor, that referred these leads to me, is to close and convert and get the fence setters off the fence and into your pipeline so that you've got a house for sale or you've got a house that you just help somebody buy. That's what my job is, to help you close more of your leads, to increase your conversion rates. And so I'm going to work on your next closing. Would you rather be working on your next closing, or would you rather be sitting, watch me across the table from you at the closing table when the money's there, is closing on time, and everything's perfect? Which would you rather? Right? So that's it. The only reason why loan officers go is like, man, I hope everything's okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We got a lot of dialogue on this. And, everything ranging from some other coaches recommend it. And again, we're not here to say other coaches are wrong. Everybody has different goals. And Carl and I don't know, exactly how many loans you want to close. I think Carl's point was, if your goal is to close over 20 loans, or 20, can't do it. If you want to close 5 to 10, you probably can do it. Although I suspect that Carl would make the case that there are other possibly higher value activities. But at the same time, I'm just looking at some of the dialogue from some of the folks on the call right now. I see some really top producers that are just, super successful, that have that as part of their process. And so, we're just weighing in. It's an interesting dialogue. And if we have time in the last, let's just say 10, 15 minutes of the call, maybe we'll drill down on this more. All I can say is I want to encourage you guys to continue to ask questions, drive this, and thank you for all the transparency and dialogue around this, attending closing questions.
And I get it. It's a controversial subject. I get it. I totally get it. And I hear what you're saying, that, wait a minute, Carl, when I went to this closing, I met the listing agent. And then when I met listing agent Jill, I did a deal with her, met the next listing agent, Bob, and met the next listing agent. No, I get all that, right? I get that. I'm not saying it's a bad activity. What I am saying is the activity that takes you from 0 loans to 5 loans is not likely to be the same activity that'll take you from 5 to 10, that'll take you from 10 to 20, that'll take you from 20 to 40. It's all different levels of activity. And in doing it, as you ramp up your business, as you're ramping up, you're going to find these plateaus. And instead of hitting the plateaus, like if we just start doing 30 loans per month activity, guess what happens? We start getting the results of 30 loans activity. And if we continue to do 10 loans activity, nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, 10 loans a month, it's a great living. And for some people, it's like, hey man, I'm good at that, and that's I'm good. And I'm all for you. I think that's an awesome. Right? We make a good living on 10 loans a month. What if you could help 20 people a month though? Right? Wouldn't that not just the extra income you get? It's like if they're using you as your mortgage company, right? If they're using your services, my guess is you feel like, as you should, they're better off using your company than somebody else. So I always thought it's like it's our obligation as a decent human being to help as many people as possible. And I just can't reemphasize enough that the activity, the good activity, the great activity, the recommended activity that takes us to 5 loans might not take us to 10, might not take us to 20, might not take us to 50. Especially if the money's there, hey, we're just not that important. So what I do is I look at this list that you're seeing up on your screen here, and I go, which of those is money, or which of those is loan getting activity, and which of those is reactive activity? And I think you'll find, if you really nail it down, that most of it is just like it's activity that happens after the phone rings, right? That's the reactive stuff. Anytime you're working on reactive stuff, you're not working on proactive stuff. Let me show you on the next slide here. So one way to figure out like who's doing what, we have this thing that we call the axe of freedom, A-X-E, axe of freedom, like a hatchet. And it's to free yourself up so you can help even more people. And what we do is we write down all the list of activities that you do or that's done in your office, and then write everybody's name down in your office, and then draw lines of who's doing what. And this was done by one of my private clients, a dear friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name here, but he very well might be on the call and be watching this today. So he sent over, this is what I'm doing, this is what they're doing. And as you look at this slide, and we all started the same way. So this is like the first week that we started working together. This is what he sent me. And when we looked at this slide, we go, well, gee, so he's got his name, which is me, and then he's got Jackie, Tabitha, and Cheryl. So that was the 4 people on his team, including himself. And when he drew lines, he sent this over to me. I said, dude, it's like one thing that's real obvious about this is like all roads lead to you. All lines are running to you. I saw this. I said, dude, I want to be Cheryl. Cheryl's got like one job. I want to be Cheryl. You know, the last person I want to be is whoever me is on this, because, man, look at all the stuff they're doing. And when they're doing all that stuff, he's not bringing in more business on most of these things, right? On most of these things. So once you have that list, then you can put it down in long format like this, like my buddy Josh did, where he's got who does what written down here on long form. I recommend that you have this up in your office that you and everybody in your team could see. By the way, let me just go back to this slide real quick. If you're like a one-woman shop or one-man loan shop right now, instead of putting somebody's name on there, put your name, me, and then put new hire on, new position, new assistant, new partner, whatever, new loan coordinator, whatever you want to call that person, and still draw the lines, because then you've given a perfect job description for your next hire, right? You get a perfect job description. Same thing as we look at here. There is no question about who's doing what. You can see exactly what Josh is doing. You can see exactly what Sonny's doing, Francesca and Carla. And if Francesca is out sick one day or on vacation, everybody knows exactly what to do. And by the way, as a typical, when you do this activity, I recommend not having more than one person doing the same thing. Because that way it's like the 2 outfielders chasing the ball in a baseball game. You don't know who's going to get the ball, and often it gets dropped. And so Francesca has one thing, Carla has another. If we're closing 20 loans and we need 2 loan officer assistants, they're not working on the same files, they're working on separate files. It's almost like 2 separate teams. Like with the amount of loans that that we're doing, I mean, we have multiple teams working on different different files. But in your office, on each file, only one person doing one job, so you don't get the trade-off. And by the way, if let's just say Sonny goes out on maternity leave, we know exactly what Sonny's replacement, while they're on maternity leave, or can we hand everything off to Francesca and Carla? We know exactly what each person's doing. I strongly recommend you do this. I strongly recommend that you continually look at your list and ask yourself, who else could do this? Who else could do this? So what I want everybody to do right now is, and you can do it in the comment section or you can write it down, is I want you to write down what's the one thing, what's the one activity that brings you in the most money? For you, the one single activity. No right or wrong on this, by the way. It's your one thing. It might be something that I do. Maybe it's something I don't do. Maybe it's something you're amazing at that I'm not that great at. So there is no everybody one thing. It's like, what's for you? Write down or comment in, what's the one thing that brings you in the most money? The one single activity. One single activity.
So folks, I would like for you to comment on this. I think it makes for a great dialogue here. So I am seeing one-on-one meetings, borrower consultation, realtor presentations, home buyer classes, getting out and meeting new agents, calling on my partners, staying in touch with my past customers, calling agents and asking for the business, client consultations. And by the way, I can go on and on and on,
Perfect.
But it pretty much comes down to borrower consultation, realtor meetings, or one-to-many sales opportunities.
Perfect. So as we look at some of those, and by the way, that's all important stuff. And Dave, obviously with Mortgage Coach, I mean, borrower consultation has never been more important, and the conversion rates that you get, using the Mortgage Coach products and the amazing platform that you have and the people that's using it, it's off the charts. It really is.
Time out, by the way, we got another surge of annual reviews, open houses, and of course, we did have a lot of folks say total cost analysis, but that's just having the ultimate borrower conversation. or using the total cost analysis as the best open house lead generator. We're a component within a lot of those things. But anyways, I wanted to make sure open houses and annual reviews got mentioned here.
Perfect.
Keep it rocking, Carl.
And all great stuff. Like every single thing that I heard you read, Dave, all of that is great stuff. I was at a live event here not too long ago, and and a lot of people commonly will say something like let's just say go into closings, right? That's a great activity again, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying you can't do it at 20, 30 loans a month. It's impossible. And have a life and be doing the other stuff, be doing more lead generation. But like somebody might say, hey, go into closings. And I probably should pick something else. I don't want to pick on that. But you get the idea. That's not the activity that brought in the money. The activity that brought in the money is what caused that closing to happen. And the same thing with the borrower consultation. That's all incredibly important stuff, right? If you don't convert them, you've wasted all the activity of generating the lead. It's all about the conversion, right? The lead, you have to convert the people, right? That's all good stuff. But keep in mind, the borrower consultation isn't what brought the money in. It's what converted them. What brought the money in? What was the activity that you did to get that borrower consultation? What was that activity you did that got that closing? I saw somebody commented locking loans. No. The locking loans isn't where the money is. It's having the loan to lock. What was the activity that you did that got that loan in that you could lock it, right? So we have to reverse engineer, and these are all good things, right? We have to reverse engineer what was the thing that actually brought that person, that borrower, the relationship where I'm doing the open house so I can have the open house tools that Dave so graciously provides for us. What was the activity that got us at the open house, right? And for most of us, not everybody, but for most of us, and I heard that answer come up a lot, it is the referral partner meetings, right? The meeting with the new referral partners and going deeper with those referral partners we currently have, right? So for most of us, it's going to be something like that, or having teaching those classes at the Realtors Association, right? That's where we met the people that referred us the deals that got the loans to come in, right? So it's reverse engineering. Here's the next question, though. How many hours, and this is a very honest question, how many hours, minutes, if any, did you do that specific activity? How many hours or minutes last week did you do that specific activity, if any? And Dave, I'm going to tell you, and by the way, preparing for that specific activity doesn't count. So like if I'm doing if I'm teaching at the Realtors Association, getting the PowerPoint ready, that doesn't count, right? So how many hours or minutes, if any, did you do whatever your number one thing? How many hours or minutes, if any, did you do that specific activity?
Okay, guys. So you heard where Carl took it. We're getting at the tip of the iceberg of where the actual opportunity to serve a family came. How much time did you spend last week? Be honest. And by the way, we got 2 hours. We got 0. We got 0. We got 4 hours. We got 0. We got 0. We got 2 hours. We got 3 hours. We got 8 hours. We got 60 minutes. We got 0, 0, 0. Come on, guys. We got 1 hour. We got 4 hours, 2 hours. So by the way, everybody, I want to just put that in context. Like, I have a son who's a sophomore in high school, and every single week he has at least 5 hours of homework. I mean, it's just like, by the way, that's like the low side. So he goes to school, something he doesn't actually love to do, unless he's with his lacrosse buddies. But he has 5 hours of homework. And think about it. Put this in context right now. We got a couple of people that the thing that actually makes them the most money, they spent last week that a high school sophomore does going through school. And this is our career. So, I hope the light bulb is going off for folks that we could just it's 34 minutes into the call. We can just be like, done. We don't need to give you any more information. This is where the money is figuring out where the business is coming from and putting first things first. So I want to ask one more question. I'm going to throw it back to you, Carl. So please, if you answered the question of how many hours you spent last week. Please answer the question of how many hours, by your standards, not Carl's standards, do you think you should be spending every week? Because, you know, maybe you think, oh, you should be spending this 2 hours, and you spent 2 hours, so you hit your goal. But how many hours a week should you be spending on lead generation, business development? And by the way, someone just said 40 hours. It's not the right answer. You know, someone said 30 hours. If you're doing a lot of business, that's probably not realistic. Someone just said 8 hours. So I think we're getting someone said 10, 5, 25, 6. So guys, first of all, thank you for participating. You're making this a better conversation for Carl. Carl, hand it back to you with that perspective from the audience.
All right. So this is real simple. By the way, when I asked this, and I knew your group was going to be above average, Dave, because of who you are and what and the people that you attract. When I go around the country talking to loan officers, and I get them to honestly answer, the average answer that we get is 0. Right? The average answer is 0. The average answer is, I spent no hours last week doing the call. And I appreciate the transparency of those of you that, you know, that gave your answers. I appreciate that transparency. And trust me, we've all been there, right? All of us have been there. And so if somebody says, hey, I'm doing it 2 hours a week, you want to double your business, dude, you just do it 4 hours. I mean, it's really that simple. If you're doing it 4 hours a week, you want to double your business, just do it 8. That's it. That's all you got to do. But the problem is when you do that, you go, wait, it's going to, see, that's the back part of your brain going again. Hey, if I do this and I generate more activity, I'm going to have more fires to put out, and my life's already crazy, or crazier than I want it to be, right? So then we go, all right, so if we did this activity anywhere from 0 to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or maybe, you know, somebody's knocking out of the park 8, what were the things that got in your way of doing that single activity? What kept you from it? Like, what was the problem? And we already know what the answer is. It's putting out fires, right? Putting out fires is what takes so much time. So one thing that we have to do is we have to reprogram our brain of like here's the problem. Some of you say, and again, I've done this too, I'm the only one they want to talk to, right? I'm the only one they want to talk to. Now, if that's true, what we're really saying is I put together a bad team, right? So, you know, when we're saying, hey, they only want to talk to me, it's because we programmed either A, we've got a really challenged team, or B, we've taught, which is most likely, by the way, we've taught our referral partners, we've taught our borrowers, hey, if you want the real answer, you need to talk to me. If you really wanted to close on time, don't call Lisa, don't call Jimmy back at the office. If you really want the right answer, if you really want to close on time, you better call me, right? That's crazy, right? That's crazy because, again, what we're really saying is, hey, I suck at putting together a team, right? That's what we're really saying when we do that. So I had the honor of meeting with Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary. By the way, like the nicest guy ever. You know, he kind of plays a jerk shtick on the show. It's a complete act. He was incredibly kind, incredibly generous, just a wonderful, he really is Mr. Wonderful. I just fell in love with the guy. I thought he was just absolutely, and I wasn't a huge fan when I met him. I mean, I certainly admired him, right? I was certainly respectful of him, but I wasn't sure about, you know, I'm kind of a warm and fuzzy guy, and I didn't like the approach that he did, and found it's strictly a shtick for ratings. So I asked him a question. I said, dude, how do you become a billionaire, right? How do you become a billionaire? And he said, Carl, it's real simple. Make a list of all the things you do, find a replacement that can do those activities for you, and when you do that, go make more sales. When you make more sales, put some of that money in your pocket, take some of that money and hire somebody to take more stuff off of your list. Then with this newfound time, go make more sales. Put some of that money in your pocket, make some of that money, and go hire somebody, move more things over. And that's how you make $1 billion, he told me. Just rinse and repeat of constantly taking things off of your plate, right? Not that they don't need to be done, not that it's important. And going to closings, I think it's a great thing. But, you know, doing the amount of closings that we're doing per month, we have to get somebody else to do it. It'd be impossible. We might have one day where we're closing 50 loans in a day, literally, in a day. How the heck are you going to go to 50 loans in a day? That's impossible, right? So you have to get other people to go do that activity for us. By the way, what's the number one lender? You know, I am. What's the number one lender in America today? Anybody guess who does more loans than anybody else? I think it's Quicken, right? How many of their customers should they meet with? It's like, hell, they don't meet with them to sign papers or anything, right? So we can get business in the new model of a lot of automation. I know, like Dave, with your platform, you know, the videos that you guys can send out, man, those things are off the chart, right? Those things are off the chart. People love that kind of stuff, and you can explain it maybe just as well through the videos sometimes, especially if they're out of your area. So then we go, all right, well, what does our assistant do? And I just put a quick list here together. It's certainly not all-inclusive, but like answer all phone calls, check all emails, social media, confirming your appointments, making lunch, running errands, doing mailings, putting out your fires, collecting your docs, putting your leads on your computer every morning, everything you don't want to do, right? All the things that I call them my frogs. Everything that like, if you don't like frogs, don't eat frogs anymore, right? Farm that out. Because what I found is the stuff that I don't like doing, or the stuff I find challenging, somebody on my team, they love doing that activity, right? They're excellent at it. So then what do? Well, whatever your one thing is, right? I just put up some here, but this is not, I'm not saying you have to do these things. I'm just saying whatever your one thing, that's what you do with your new free time. Maybe teaching classes, coffee and lunch appointments, planning your marketing, not necessarily that one, actually doing it. We don't want you licking the envelopes, but planning the marketing, go to places where agents hang out, calling your leads, making presentations, masterminding with other like-minded people, strategic planning every couple weeks. For those branch managers, recruiting additional loan officers, like only the things that you want to do, the stuff that you really enjoy that makes a big difference in your business, right? Like strategizing. So you go, all right, Carl, but wait a minute. How do I get my referral partners to talk to my assistants? How do I make, they've been calling me for the last 10 years. I struggled with this too when I started having help. It's like, how do I make that trade-off? What I'm not going to say is, hey, Realtor Jimmy, I'm much too busy to talk to you these days, right? You can't say that, right? That's horrible. This is somebody that's trying to help you feed your family, right? We love these people. They're like my best friends. But one thing that I learned was what I call the radar script. So Dave, like if you're my referral partner, I would have this conversation with you, and I prefer to have it in person if we're in the same area. Is I'd meet you for coffee, Dave, and I say, hey, Dave, I just want to tell you, brother, I really appreciate you. You're helping me feed my family. You're helping me put my little girl through medical school. By the way, she's going to be back here in a couple weeks for the break. And you're helping me put my little girl through medical school. And, dude, she's going to change lives, literally. And that you helped me do that, brother, you're like my best friend ever, and I really appreciate you. And I go home sometimes and I'm thinking, how can I make Dave's life even better than what it is? How can I help Dave, because he's sure helping me? And I came up with something. So I hired a lady, her name is Diane. She's a new partner here at the firm, right? So I'm going to break script here for a second. We never say somebody's our assistant. Nobody wants to talk to your assistant. They want to talk to your partner, right? They want to talk to your partner. So, and they are your partners. Everybody that help me works in my firm, they are my partners. Now, they're not on my letters of incorporation, but they are my partners, right? So back to the script. So Dave, what I did was I just brought on a new partner. Her name is Diane. Now, in the office, we call Diane Radar because she has this uncanny knack of identifying issues like before they ever come up. She's like a freak of nature. And so while you and I are having coffee today, if a lead comes in, like right now, somebody you referred over, they just called me back, Dave, I would never disrespect you and answer the phone while I'm sitting here talking with you. Because, dude, I love you. You're helping me feed my family. I would never, ever, ever disrespect you by texting or answering a phone while we're having coffee. And by the way, Dave, I wouldn't. Right? I wouldn't. I'd never disrespect. Talk to Dave Savage, you're going to answer a call? Of course not, right? That's very disrespectful. I would never do that to you. But yet, Dave, I'm in a quandary here. I want to help your lead too, because I know that when I take care of the lead, I'm going to help you get to a closing, and you get to make more money, and you get to help another family and home. So I'm kind of torn here. I didn't know what to do. So I've got Diane or Radar back in the office, and she's going to be getting the lead. So while you and I are having coffee here today, she'll answer that call, take that lead, and brother, before we get to our Danish, she might have our pre-approval letter already sent back to your office. So I'm going to move you, Dave, and all of your referrals to the front of the line. I'm going to move everybody to the front of the line, brother. Nobody's ever going to have to wait again. Diane's not at coffee appointments. Diane's not at the Realtors Association. Diane's at the office, putting her radar up, helping make sure we get as many of those leads to closing as possible. So, Dave, are you good with that? Are you good with having me move you and all your referral partners to the front of the line rather than having to wait all the time? Does that work for you?
Dude, Carl,
why
I love you so much. No, hey, why I love you so much is the value you bring and the conversion, you know. So by the way, everybody, I hope you heard all of that. I mean, and this is one thing that I think has always distinguished Carl as a leader in our industry. Anybody who's ever met him in person is he's got this X factor of gratitude and appreciation for people and real empathy. And so, you know, I do think that was big, you know, the way you told a story, you told a story, and then you explained the why. And then remember what Carl's doing, and I talk about it a lot, you know, there's level 1 loan officers where the relationship is based off of they trust you to close loans on time and keep your word. That's good. You know, there's level 2 relationships where they trust you that you're going to help convert. Again, Carl was, you know, he was positioning himself as level 2. And of course, there is a level 3 where I do level 1, I do level 2, and I create urgency and clarity so that they buy faster, they list faster. And so guys, I mean, that was genius. You know, I mean, that was a beautiful script. Carl, a lot of people are asking for your slides. I don't want to put you on the spot. Are these things that you'd be willing to share? And if you don't want to, we can just tell them, watch the recording over and over.
Of course.
So if you're on this call, Carl's going to send those to us. We're going to post this video. If you're watching the video, a link to his slides are below. And for those of you that are on the call, I think it's an important enough conversation. You're going to want to re-listen to it, or at least parts of it. And the link to Carl's slides will be below. Carl, we've got about 13 minutes. Just wanted to pace things from a timing perspective. Also, you know, there are a couple people have asked how to get a hold of you. I'll let you kind of either speak to that at the end for anyone that wants to reach out, learn more about your coaching practice and how you serve the industry, or whether you want to do that at the end. I'll leave that in your hands.
All right, so you know, when we put this together, Dave, first of all, I want to thank you for it, and I always want to bring more slides than what I got time for, so I can see we're definitely going to be running out of time. Let me just run through a couple more here, just real quick. You know, I get this all the time too, Dave. But wait a minute, I'm a control freak. I need to be in charge of everything, right? So if we look at this guy, the guy that does everything, what does he look like? Right? He looks like a clown. If we look at, get rid of this, hang on just a second. There we go. This guy, what instrument does he play? Hell, he doesn't play any instrument, right? By the way, this is the conductor of the Boston Pops. So when we look at these two people, you know, who helps more people? Who brings more joy to more people? Who influences more people? Who has the, not that this matters, I guess, but who has the parking spot at the Coliseum? Whose picture is on the album? Right? Just because they're helping more people, who makes the most money? Right? So one looks like a professional, and just being honest, the one that's doing everything themselves, they look like a clown. Right? And I'm not calling anybody here on a clown, right? I'm not doing that. And we all started doing everything, right? All of us. I know I did. And I used to think, Dave, that I impressed everybody going, I do everything. You want the right answer, you call me. If you want the lock on time, you call me. I'm the one that has to do everything. I play all the instruments. And I used to think I impressed people when I taught that, when I said that, but I found out the only people I impressed were like other clowns, like other people that are, you know, doing everything themselves, which is typically not, it's not going to be the high producers, not the people that still are married to or still have friends or still have kids or family or moms and dads, you know, they have time to go visit. Right? The only people that respect clowns are other clowns, right? And again, I'm not calling anybody a clown here, but I'm saying you got to let that go and be the professional that you are. We're in the greatest career ever. I mean, there's so much, you know, I got a friend of mine that's a doctor, and I was looking at his income, you know, from a loan, and I just thought to myself, I don't know how he lives on that income, right? I don't know how he makes it, right? Because as loan officers with zero college, right? There's incredible income to be made. This is a great profession that you're in. Maximize it. And the thing that where I have to be doing everything, everybody wants to talk to me. Everybody doesn't want to talk to you. If they could walk up to a machine, push the button, and their mortgage pop out, they would do that. Right? That's why this Rocket Mortgage, we all know that Rocket Mortgage is a sham, right? We know that. We know it's all smoke and mirrors. The public doesn't. They're pushing that button all day long, wanting to figure that thing out. And that's when I figured out, shocking fact number one, we're not near as important as we think we are. And shocking fact number two kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. Hey, they don't want Carl. They want the money. And they just want it on time. They just want the loan to close. And that we have to learn in our mortgage practice that we're either working offense or defense, right? And we know that offense scores more points than defense. And so we have to do those things, this loan getting activity, and identifying that, the putting out the fires and chasing conditions. That's being reactive. We have to be proactive when we do stuff. And so we have to, the things that's tying us up, the things that's causing us to go into the reactive mode, we have to farm that stuff out, like email. My gosh, we don't have time, but if we do a poll here, how many people have 3 hours a day or more in email? My guess is it'd be half the room. Same thing, incoming phone calls. You go, wait a minute, incoming phone calls, that's where my money's made. No, the money's made making the phone call ring. Or people coming by your office. Hey, Carl, how's it going? Man, you can't have these reactive things activating you so that puts you in the reactive mode. And worst of all is our brain. Our brain will say, well, I've done it for an hour today. That's enough. I need to get up. No, you got to push through it, right? You got to push through it. You got to push through it. I'm just going to go. So just real quick, I want to give you some answers. Number one, delegate out your email. You're not the only one that checked your email. Delegate your email. That was the most freeing thing I've ever done. Was I've got a lady, her name is Diane. She does all my emails. Except my private clients. I love it. It freed so much time. Take your cell phone number off your card. If you're meeting with Dave Savage, your referral partner, and you got a lead coming in, you don't want to disrespect Dave, and you don't want to make the lead to wait. You want to move him to the front line. Somebody in the office can get that call started, right? Move people to the front of the line. When you call out from your cell phone, don't call out from your cell phone, because then you're teaching everybody to make that number the number they call. There's an app. I have no affiliation with this. I wish I did. It's called Ring Central. Ring Central. It's an app. So when I call from my cell phone number, the office number shows up. That way, when I'm meeting with Dave, when I'm teaching the class at the Realtors Association, and somebody wants to call in, they don't have to wait. They're not sitting there like the car sales people that are out changing oil, and me and Dave sitting on the car lot trying to buy a new car, and we can't because there's nobody there. We don't want that to happen, right? People are trying to give you money. Make it easy for them. When people's trying to give you money, make it easy for them, right? Make it easy. So when I call from ringcentral.com, that app, it shows the office number is showing up on the call ID. Or if you have to, get an answering service, right? Get an answering service. By the way, on this stuff like Ring Central and answering service, the first thing I just want to insert this slide in, we're going to wrap this up, is don't go figure out how to do this stuff. Never, ever, ever, ever figure out how to do anything. So I've got a person in my office. This is my wonderful Diane, and her awesome husband, Scott, one of my best friends. He works here with us, too. He does a lot of our strategy calls. Really smart guy, really smart lady. She's my director of who. She's my director of who. And what that is, just real quick, is a dear friend of mine, Dean Jackson, made this out for me. This is brilliant. So we look at the top thing there and we go, why? Why do we want to do something? Well, I want to close more loans. I want to have more hours free to spend with my family. We go, all right, so what am I going to do? I'm going to get this Ring Central thing that Carl talked about. Let's just say. All right, how do I make that happen now? If we look at over here on the side, this is like a timeline, like the little lines going along the side there. It's a timeline where we figure out how to do something. And those lines might mean minutes, hours, days. Hell, it could be weeks, right? We spend a lot of time figuring out how, and then very little time actually doing it, right? The how part is what takes so long. So instead of figuring out how to do something, wrong question. Right question, who? Who can do this? Who can set up that Ring Central for me? Who can set up my Jungo or whatever CRM that I'm using? And there's some great ones out there, right? Top of mind. Who can figure that out for me? In my CRM, we got 2 CRMs. I don't even know how to log in. Never logged in once, not ever. Not in the last 15 years. I've never logged in my CRM. And man, we are Johnny on the spot on the CRM, because I found out the right question wasn't how to do this, but who can do it. And so anytime I come up with an idea, anytime I want to do something, I don't figure out how, right? I just hang out with smart people like Dave, figure out what we're going to do. And Dave said, hey, man, why don't you do this? Awesome idea. I get on the phone. I call my director of who. And I say, hey, Diane, I was just talking with Dave. Brilliant idea. We're going to do this now. She's the one that figures out how, right? She's the one that figures out how. And then she might be the one to do, or I might be the one to do. And she might not actually figure out how. She might ask who else. So every time I give her a task, she's either A, figuring it out, how, or B, she's figuring out who, and she might farm that activity out. Dave, when I did this transformed my business. This was just the most remarkable thing I've ever done, because I go from why to what to who to done, right? So I get things done really quick. Hey, just real quick, Dave, now that we've cleared stuff off of your plate, now we can start focusing in on the loan getting activity, right? So when Dave was kind enough to give me his call, I said, Carl, hey man, you're known for doing leads, as you know, and I'm grateful that I am. Just as Dave, dude, you're a conversion freak, right? You're a freak of nature on conversion, and that's why when we got together, I said, dude, how do you convert so well, right? So Dave said, hey, can you talk about leads? I said, Dave, I'd like to, but man, I'm afraid it would cause problems. You know, the problems I think would cause is, dude, they're already working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. If we give them more stuff to do, am I going to be doing anybody a favor? What I'd rather do is kind of free some stuff off their plate, especially this time of year, so they can focus on the loan getting activity and the taking their kids to school and picking their kids up from school and meeting their husband or their wife or their boyfriend or their girlfriend, or spending time with their parents, spending freedom. And even though we all love what we do, right, doing it somewhere around like a 32-hour work week gives a freedom, which, by the way, we don't have time to go into that, but getting yourself off this 50, 60, 70-hour work week is so critical. It's so critical for your happiness, for your health, and for your business. You'll get more stuff. The more you want to get done, the less you can do. You have to take more stuff off of your plate. And so, Dave, you were kind enough to let me offer that if you guys want to do a strategy call where we can talk about how to bring in leads, or you want to talk about how to build your team, we can do that. There's no cost for this. If you go to loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com, we'll schedule a 1-hour meeting with either myself or Ralph or Scott. We'll find out what's when you go to this, it's going to go to a little form. You put in a little information about you. It's very private, and we'll look to see where we think your greatest needs are, and then we'll have a 1-hour strategy call. And on this call, there's no obligation, right? We're going to spend a full 60 minutes strategizing for your specific situation. And then at the end of that call, you are absolutely 100%, and we have more scripts. We'll give you scripts, and how do we market to our database, and how do we do lead generation. Like we'll give you all that, and it's not going to be a teaser thing. Like we'll go over the scripts. Like if you want all the scripts and everything, we'll go over them on the strategy call. And then at the end of that call, you can either take that plan and go do it by yourself alone. Absolutely welcome to do that. Or you might say, hey, Carl, man, could you guys help me implement this plan? And then we can talk about that too. But either way, you're going to leave that call with a 60-minute paint-by-numbers bullet print of exactly what to do. If you choose to for us to help you, awesome. That's what I'd like if it's a good match. But if you choose to do it alone by yourself, absolutely, certainly welcome to do that too. No hard feelings whatsoever. And that's what I got.
Love it, Carl. You crushed it, my brother. We got lots of questions. I did post Carl's link in our Facebook group. So folks, here, if you're looking on my screen, I put a link to that. I also put it in the chat of GoToWebinar. You delivered, my brother. I can't wait to have you back in Mortgage Coach Land. Folks, if you do have questions for Carl, first and foremost, get them answered now. Go to that link, have a conversation with Carl, and then when we do start planning for our next interview, be sure to let us know what questions you have. I have so many questions that have come in through text, that have come in through Q&A on GoToWebinar. We do not have time to get them. I did want to ask a few quick hits. Which CRM do you use? A lot of folks ask that.
So I know you're involved with a lot of different people. Look, all the ones that left today, Mortgage Quest, Top of Mind, Be in Touch, Salesforce, they're all good, right? They're all good. If you just ask me which one we're using Jungo. So I love Jungo.
Okay.
Mike Gulitz, I know Mike Gulitz is a personal friend of yours, Dave. He's a friend of mine too. I love Jungo, but I think the others, if you're already using something, I don't know that I'd switch. But if you're not using something and you turn something on, I'm just being honest, we use Jungo. But the others are awesome.
Okay, no, that's fine. The question came in from multiple folks, and everybody, Mortgage Coach does integrate with Jungo.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Do not be setting that thing up. Who can set that up for you? Who can set it up? Because when you're setting that up, who's out meeting the referral partners? Who's working your database to get the next loans to come in? Who's doing that while you're doing that? Nobody. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Love it. So two things before we go. On my screen right now, I want to make sure, folks, you go through a LinkedIn post that I put up today, or actually yesterday, the 5 steps to making tech adoption happen. This is just, and by the way, there's a whole conversation on accountability and leveraging your team. So I want to make sure everybody saw that. Also, I am scheduling out who I'm going to interview in 2018. I've already had people say they want me to have Carl back, so we will have Carl back, assuming he's willing to come back. But please answer this question on our Facebook group. And one last thing, one of the leaders in our community, Ryan Hills, did a video on 2018 predictions. I recommend you check that out because I think there's a number of different lead referral magnet videos that you can create. So there's a lot of great insight in that would help you create a great video. So hopefully you got value from today's call. As you jump out of today's call, please answer our poll. Let us know if we wowed you with tons of value, got some solid takeaways. If you're new to the Mortgage Coach community and you want to schedule a demo, click the last option. And by the way, Carl, everybody loved your call. You're getting incredible reviews. Can't wait to have you back in the community and super grateful for the value today, brother.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question in closing here, just real quick?
Go for it.
So I know you guys are getting ready to what was it, Insane Productivity?
Darren Hardy's Insane Productivity Program?
Dude, I'm so excited about that. I hope you don't mind. I'd love to sign up that for myself. I've heard so many good things about that. I know a lot of people are excited about it. I would love. Maybe when we finish this call, I'd love to hear some more about that. That sounds really exciting.
You got it, brother. I will be happy to talk to you about it. And by the way, what Carl was talking about is the Darren Hardy Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach program. Check it out. But I want to keep the focus on you today, my friend. Wow. So reach out to Carl. Make sure you connect with him, everybody. And Carl, let you and I rap more about that offline.
Look forward to it. Thanks so much. And it's just a true honor to be here with your group. Dude, you've built such an amazing community. It's the envy of the industry. And how'd you get to be so handsome, too? It's like, Dave's got freaking everything. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate the pleasure. Have a great day, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.